The night beckons while you dream. A life never lives in peace. As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread, and fate may fall down upon you, while the devil is knocking right at your door. So are you restless? Each night you hear the drums roar. Awaken, awaken, the voice begins to call you while you hunger. A taste of destiny you're searching for. Awaken, awaken, the fight is at your door. Take up the cause. As you stand upon the edge, laying in the balance,
I'm ready. Just invite me back when they're done fixing their sides.
fall down upon you, while the devil is knocking. So are you restless? Each night you hear the drums roar. Awaken, awaken, the voice begins to call you while you hunger. A taste of destiny you're searching for. Awaken, awaken, awaken.
Hello and welcome to Rutgers' next match. It is going to be Rutgers Varsity versus Penn State University JV1. And starting off, you'll have blue side, which is Rutgers. And they will be playing a Lil Top in the top lane, I Am Nice Guy in the support, Decipher in the jungle, Rem mid in Transect AC. And on the red side, we will be having 4022 in the top lane, Mooch in the jungle, Dystopia Reaper in the mid, Mr. Lazy 519 in the bot lane, and R Rooks in the support role. Both teams, I'd say, are a fairly even match, a bit of advantage going to Rutgers rank-wise. However, I do predict it's going to be a close set.
Yeah, and looking at how the lobby is set up right now, it does seem that they're actually swapping Mr. Lazy and Dystopia Reaper from mid to bot and then bot to mid, respectively. Looking at their previous stats, Dystopia Reaper seems to be a Karthus one trick, and maybe due to that restriction, they have instead moved into the bot lane in hopes that his Karthus will be kept away from the bans, and perhaps he is able to play Karthus in the bot lane, which has taken so much prominence over the past few patches. And then with Mr. Lazy here mid lane, quite a large pool, a lot of Echo, a lot of Echo, a lot of Silas. He has a very wide champion pool that can be flexed in top and mid, actually.
And it looks like the first ban from Rutgers is going to be targeted at Mooch. He is a Phil one trick, so the Phil being taken off the board at the very start, not surprising. And it looks like Penn State University is going to counter with the Shen ban.
I mean, I really think that the Fiddle ban was necessary, given that a good Fiddle player has insane clear speed, and taking comfort pick is always the play here. And the Fiora ban now comes through for 4022. Him having a lot of Fiora games this season. It's also very good ban against someone who's comfortable on the champion. Nidalee ban comes through for PSU. The Cypher has a good amount of games on Nidalee, but generally not his strongest champion. I was expecting more to see something like a Graves ban or a Hecarim ban, if they were going to ban any junglers. But PSU has selected to ban the Nidalee instead.
I do think it is interesting to target the AP jungle pool, because it does hinder Rem to play more of a carry pick in the mid lane, such as Lucian, because you typically do want to go for the split between AP jungle AD soul lanes or AP soul lanes AD jungle. And it looks like last ban will be the Bard. I am Nice Guy, very proficient Bard player, 300 games, 57% win rate, does make sense. And it looks like a Samira ban as well. She has been very strong recently. And first pick Camille.
Yeah, and taking a look at the bans from PSU again, it looks like they want to take away early map pressure. The Shen level 6, the Bard roams, the Nidalee mobility. They want to take away the potential for Rutgers to really move around the map, and Rutgers begins by picking that Camille, and the Graves hover is coming out from PSU here, looking to pick that away from the Cypher for sure. And I'm actually hoping for an answers such as Lilia in the jungle against the Graves here, and the Karthus that comes through is getting picked.
It is most likely going to be going straight to Dystopia Reaper in the bot lane. Let's see how Rutgers does counter this. There are not many champions in the game currently that can match Karthus' push or 2v2. A strong pick would probably be just a safe ADC that can farm from far away, such as Sivir or Jinx.
I mean, yeah, another counter to that is that perhaps an aggressive lane would be even better. Something picking like the Pantheon that's open right now and looking for trades into this Karthus early, and knowing that Pantheon cards such as Poe and Lane, maybe the Pantheon pick could be taken away from PSU here. But the Jarvan is locked in response to the Graves here on the Rutgers side. So I'm anticipating something like an AD carry pick here from Rutgers, and indeed the Caitlyn comes through, just like the the farm style poke style champion that you were talking about, Keldrick, to mitigate the Karthus' early game range.
I do think a good pick here would actually be the Galio. Graves Galio is such a strong, scrappy 2v2 in the mid jungle, as well as it would definitely hurt Rutgers, because Rutgers do want the Galio here. They have such a strong dive in the Camille J4, but it does look like they're gonna go for the Senna support.
And that's a very interesting pick, given that support has been giving the counter pick priority so much in the past couple patches, especially during Worlds where support's picked last in almost every single game. I'm surprised that they showed the Senna too early, and I mean, if they don't ban some aggressive supports such as the Nautilus, the Thresh, the Pantheon, I'm going to have difficulty seeing how PSU is going to be able to play a safe enough bot lane where they won't just be constantly engaged on with a Jarvan as a jungler here. And of course, Rutgers bans away the Morgana.
I'm actually surprised they are banning the Morgana, unless they do think that it is going to be Dystopia Reaper mid lane. There would be no reason to ban Morgana if it was going to be Karthus bot Senna support. As well as Morgana just being such a strong pick with Caitlyn, but could possibly be that they are looking for the Lux pick maybe, just for the massive kill threat. because Karsus and are both incredibly squishy champions that one binding could spell their death.
Yeah, and again, what we know about their mid and bot lane on the Penn State side is just the pick order within the lobby. I mean, we don't know whether or not the Karthus could go mid or go bot. So perhaps Rutgers is anticipating a Senna AD carry and perhaps a support that hasn't been shown yet. So maybe that's why the Morgana ban came through, and the Jax ban now comes through for Rutgers, making sure that Camille's able to play lane a little bit probably in a more favorable matchup here. Collie's locked in. That makes me think that it's going top lane.
It is. I would say it is going top lane. 4022 has his most played champion being Akali top, right above Irelia, about 20 games more. Akali top is an interesting pick into Camille, but there's just so much outplay potential she can do with the hook shot. It's really up to Camille to get things done, but it will be the cast in mid pick here. Most likely a blind, actually, if the Karsus goes bot.
I mean, the cast and pick, I am never really a fan of picking Caston as a blind pick, especially when the mid lane is yet to be seen. Perhaps this may be a blunder from Rutgers side, thinking that the Collie is going mid instead of top. But the Leona is locked in for Rutgers, and I'm interested to see how Penn State responds to Caston. They have a solid amount of spread in terms of AP and AD damage here, so if PSU elects to lock in an AD mid laner, it could give a lot of trouble for the Caston.
Well, we will be seeing it. Does look like it's gonna. It's actually hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, the set and the Collie could be flexed both mid and top both ways. It's very hard to tell.
Can go mid bot. It could still be a set support as well as Senna set lane. Bot lane.
I mean, there's so much flux.
What I do think it will be though is it could potentially just be the set mid to counteract the Kassadin. Set just can bully Caston out of lane so hard and so easily because Caston will have to go melee for the CS, as well as Caston's passive being a bit worthless into Set, who only does physical damage. So I do think it is going to be the Akali top, Set mid, Karsus Senna bot.
And the Graves junk. And looking at the team comps right now, I mean, it's obvious that Rutgers wants to dive. They want to dive, they want to dive, they want to get onto that backline Karthus and onto that Senna here, while PSU is like a little bit more of a, kite back, skirmish, not fully commit to anything kind of team. So I'm interested to see how the team fights will play out and whether or not Rutgers is going to be able to get on top of the backline carries that they intend to do here with the Camille J4, and whether or not the Set can actually effectively peel his Karthus and Senna. And I mean, looking at the late game insurance here, I mean, we have the Caston on the Rutgers side and the Karthus on the PSU side, but in my opinion, I feel like if Caston's allowed to scale, she could take over the game here. He could take over the game here, and it's very difficult for the side of Penn State to stop this Caston, given that their only RCC is the Set stun on the E, which can be easily dodged, and then the Set facebreaker on the ultimate. It's very difficult for Senna to land her root as well on the Cassadin, so PSU definitely wants to get that mid-game power rolling with the Graves and the Akali and try to prevent the late game from happening here.
Yeah, it does look like it will be the Set mid here. I believe one of the biggest problems coming out for Penn State University's comp is that engaging is just going to be a nightmare, really. How would you engage into a Caitlyn who has so much range? It'd mostly be up to Senna with a slow, if anything, or Set burning flash, because they don't really have much long range engage at all. It'd have to be an Akali TP flank, a Set flash facebreaker, or just Senna poking them out with autos. Meanwhile, if Rutgers were to get behind, there's not much their comp can do at all. So I think most of this game comes down to early, which is the advantage of Penn State University.
That is true. I mean, the early game
does not really have a mid laner, as Caston is incredibly weak. Set has so much pushing potential, especially if he goes Bommy's first item, as most sets do. And Akali should have the advantage into Camille early until Camille can pick up her Triforce and Death Dance.
For sure, it's going to be a top side, a weak side here, top mid side, weak side here on the Rutgers side. So I'm anticipating the Cypher playing a lot towards the bot lane, where he probably has the most kill threat with the Caitlyn Leona here into the Karthus Senna. But again, that is really dependent on having the Karthus and Senna push up far enough to be ganked, as well as the Leona landing the Solar Flare later stages in the game. I mean, this game really could go either way. As you said, the early game is for sure the most important part, how both teams play it out. PSU definitely doesn't want Rutgers to just passively scale and passively farm. They want to make plays. They want to make things happen around the map. Them banning away champions, just a Shen, Nidalee, Bard, Galio. It's just a lot of roaming power that Rutgers seems to really excel at in the early game. And here they want to mitigate that and try to push their own leads in early game.
It's definitely going to fall on PSU's bot lane to not fall behind here. Caitlyn Leona so strong in laning phase. One lance could just spell death. Especially with Karthus and Senna both being immobile champions, even a J4 EQ flash can land a kill. Especially since, most likely, Senna will be going heal. I think Karthus will be going cleanse here. Senna can pick up the Edge of Night to help mitigate some of the engage coming out from Rutgers, but it will be hard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable in the bot lane matchup, but it does seem, Penn State's really going to have to make sure that their bot lane doesn't fall too far behind. And in terms of pushing power, I mean, Karthus and Senna definitely have more early pushing power than Caitlyn Leona, but, that push spells that they're going to be on the opposite side of the river, and that means very easy Jarvan ganks, very easy angles for the Cypher to look for in the bot lane. So as long as Rutgers doesn't fall too behind in, especially the mid lane, I think that they have a very stable early game that they can work towards pushing their leads in the mid game and the late game, where Caston begins to hit his power spikes at level 11, and perhaps finishing, if he elects to go the tankier, both finishing the Raw, finishing the Seraphs, and if the squishier build will be finishing the Leandries and Seraphs here. So we shall see how Rutgers decides to play this one out here as we enter into a spectator delay here.
PSU does have the advantage with being red side, however, is that their bot lane is strong side. With the Tribush being blue side, it's just one less way that J4 can come from to gank them, because the odds that J4 comes from behind their turret are minuscule, so they do only really have to expend one ward. Another thing is, as long as Rux is able to push out the Leona with just auto Q trades, it will be incredibly beneficial for them to be able to just poke out the Caitlyn Leona with the range coming out from Karthus and Senna.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy's going to have to be very careful in taking the early game trades here. If he takes too much damage, he's not going to be able to make some plays and follow up with potential Jarvan ganks here. And that's another important thing that laners tend to forget, is that if your health bars are low and so is theirs, it might not necessarily be a good thing regardless of what champion you are, because you might not be able to follow up later on when a play needs to happen here. So we will be entering the game soon, so we will see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to C-Star League 2020 Northeastern Division, Week 3, Game 1 for Rutgers University Esports against Penn State University here. The match has begun, and we see both teams coming out of fountain here as Rutgers seems to be electing for a 5-point, whereas Penn State instead is looking for a stack in the bottom side, perhaps knowing that Rutgers likes to argue screw, and they are spotted out by the Cypher in the top brush here by the river. Perhaps perhaps an invade attempt from PSU. I'm not sure how that pathing would have worked out against a 5-point due to the long path that they would have to take the river. But both teams reset, and we are back to 5-pointing on both sides. Oh, and Keldrick, I do believe you are muted.
It looks like Karthus did end up going for the exhaust while Senna went for the cleanse. She did go for the grasp of the Undying, so it'll most likely be a frozen mallet rush coming out from her. It's going to be a fairly healthy bot lane, assuming that Dystopia Reaper opts for either the Leandri's first item or the Rella. But other than that, fairly normal sums. They are going to place a ward to just check to see if J4 does invade the bot side of Graves.
Note that instead of taking TP like many mid laners do nowadays, Mr. Lazy has indeed elected to take the Ignite, so he is looking for kill pressure in the mid lane here, trying to get kills on this Cassin early before he's able to get strong through scaling. Both laners are taking Fleet for the sustain, so we will likely see a safe farming matchup here with Rem falling a little bit behind on CS.
I did notice actually in the champ select is that Mooch does not play much Graves at all, actually. He does not have many Graves games on his account at all. Mostly playing the Olaf and Elise and Fiddle mainly, so it is a bit of a surprise to see them draft him to Graves. He's not gonna be coming out of the jungle very healthy, I assume, just from being a bit uncomfortable on the champion. And another interesting thing is that Rem has opted into the Boots 4-pot start just to hopefully weather the poke of the set when he all-ins with Facebreaker in laning phase, hopefully just regen it up.
I mean, you saw the early trade there when Set at level 1 just used its E to pull the Cassin in for a little bit extra damage and gets a free trade off and really chunked out Rem for almost half his health bar at level 1. So I think the boost 4 pots here is definitely a good start for Rem to mitigate his early game weakness and try to come out lane alive. And
Leona is going to miss the first Xana's Blade. Gonna get hit a bit, auto Q from Senna, gonna get the grass proc in. And it looks like both junglers will be pathing bot side. Graves gonna pick up the bot scuttle, but J4 coming in for the gank. No vision, Zenith Blade lands, Cleanse Gang popped. The Karthus coming in, EQ flash, gonna follow the Senna. Karthus is just blowing up Leona, but Caitlyn will pick up the kill. Graves coming in, Root gonna miss from Senna. Smokescreen, but it looks like they are out. A 1-for-0 play coming out from Rutgers.
And that was actually a really impressive gank from Decipher because he actually predicted the Senna flash when he EQ'd it and actually followed up with his own flash for the EQ flash combo on the Jarvan, which is very impressive to me had it landed the kill onto them, but fortunately the Shroud is just too powerful and he's unable to keep vision within the clouds there. And I do believe his red buff also ran out as he made the gank, so the slow wasn't able to keep Senna within his grasp. So overall, a very good gank.
Good prediction coming out. It did net them the kill, and right now, Rem is just suffering in this mid matchup. Gonna be bleeding. The cannon in 16 CS down. We'll be picking up 2 more off the wave here and a wave crashing turret. But right now, Lil Top needs to get out of there because Graves is pathing straight up.
Yeah, and I was about to point out that because of that gank, yes, the Cypher got the early gank off, but unfortunately he actually has to give up both scuttles here, so he's actually going to be put quite significantly behind in comparison to the Graves here. And now with Graves leeching some XP here, it's going to be around the level up on the Cypher here.
Did have to help Lil Top push out the wave because did take a bit of an ill-advised trade with the Shroud down earlier. Another thing then is J4 has taken phase rush here. Is that normal? Because
I mean,
do believe they usually take Conquer or Electrocute.
into a matchup such as the Graves, you need some kind of sticking power. And looking at their team, I mean, PSU is all about kiting out and playing a little bit safer. You see, the Senna is definitely going to look to kite as well as the Karthus here. So that phase rush is really going to be needed for the sticking power here, as we see the Cypher here trying to push out the way for Rem and allow Ren to get a reset with his mana so low.
And it's also gonna be giving him the level 6 he needs in this matchup to just be able to farm up. The Cypher, oh, but a solo kill coming out of bot lane. Zenith Blade gonna land again, stun coming in. Senna no cleanse, but Transact does not have a way to get close. Senna will be traying in a bit more. EQ from Caitlyn gonna miss, and she gets out alive.
That was actually a very crucial dodge from our Rooks there, dodging that net into the Pilt over Peacemaker there. If that landed, I'm almost sure that the headshot combined with the empowered Q damage definitely would have killed the Senna there. So great movement from our Rooks there, avoiding that. And it seems that Rem has indeed teleported back to mid lane, so the teleport is down for the mid lane, meaning that the pressure globally is just about even now on the map.
No, but looks like they're going again. Dystopia Reaper is back. Karth is gonna burn the cleanse. Zenith Blade landing. EQ gonna miss, but it does not matter. The question is, can I am Nice Guy dodge his skills? It does not matter. Senna gonna auto him down. Kill going straight over. It's gonna be a 1-for-1.
And,
but it looks like Transact is coming out on top again, picking up yet another kill, and gonna be even further ahead of this Karthus.
Yeah, while that bot lane fight was going on, in case you guys missed it, in the top lane, actually Low Top elected to look for an aggressive trade into 4022 and was actually mitigated by the Kali using her E to dodge the hook shot, and instead 4022 turned the tides and actually managed to find the solo kill on Low Top here. So a trade of kills in the top and bottom lane here.
It does appear that Dystopia Reaper has decided to go the Roa first item. Typically he goes either Leandries or Archangels here, but I guess bot lane he decided to go for the healthier option of Roa as well as the better scaling. The problem is he's already 0-3 on this pick, so his Roa is going to be severely delayed. And it looks like Zenith Blade coming in, great. Graves on the invade might just kill Yona. Red buff. Nope, the red smite ticking down. But the J4 gonna hit level 6, but it doesn't matter. The Q bounces off the Cataclysm and he's gonna pick up the double. R flash coming out. The ult coming in from Set, gonna land onto Caston. The R cooldown was not up just yet, still a level 1 ulti, and it looks like Lil Top's gonna have to run for the hills, but the Senna root's gonna land, and Karthus is gonna pick up the kill. It's gonna be a 3-for-1 play coming out from PSU.
I mean, that was exactly what PSU is looking for, the kind of early game power that they have and the early game dueling potential. J4 is just unable to match the damage early that Graves can output here, especially since he didn't go Conquer and elect to go for the phase rush. There's just no way that he can find the duels there, and with I'm a Nice Guy caught out there, he actually baits his own jungler in and causes another kill to happen for the PSU side. And yes, Low Top TP'd in, but there's just not enough power on the Rutgers side to keep that fight going, and I think that was actually a poor TP.
It was definitely just an ill-advised fight to take. Rutgers decided to rotate up Transact into the top lane to be able to get the Herald, but because of that, Transact, who's most of the team's gold, was not there at the fight.
And you know, the rotation itself is fine, but getting caught in the boss side jungle of theirs, the Rutgers made a really big mistake. Although they made the correct Vacuum Parade in the top lane, they definitely did not make the correct one in the bottom lane here. But indeed, the Rutgers is indeed going to get the Rift Herald here with 4 members of their team on the top side. And you know, the Rift Herald, yes, they went down 3-for-1 there, but this Herald might be able to mitigate the gold lead that PSU has accumulated with a good push into a turret. But unfortunately, if you take a look at the platings here, towers are barely touched.
Yeah. On top of that, this lane swap is not something Lil Top is enjoying right now. The wave was pushing at the entire time, and he has bled multiple waves in a row. He's gonna be even further behind against the Sakali, and the item spike he wants of Triforce is just getting further and further delayed.
I mean, I suppose the logic was that because Karthus and Senna will just be pushing and pushing and pushing, Little Top can perhaps farm under turret, but I think what Rutgers Connectors realized is that they also have extreme poking power underneath the turret. It's so difficult for Little Top to even walk up for CS, as the mid lane is walking
The
up.
ult coming in, not gonna kill Decipher though. This Karthus does not have his row yet. The ult gonna kick cross map onto him though, and it will pick him up. The double globals from PSU's bot lane coming in clutch.
Yeah, and now Rutgers is going to lose their mid lane turret without any kind of contest here, basically. And that's first turret.
Rem couldn't do anything into the Set. He's too tanky, and Set can just choose when to dive in. The only chance he could have had to go in to clear was when Set missed his face breaker, but by then the Karthus ult was coming down and he didn't want to risk it.
And right now, you know, Penn State has Rutgers in the palm of their hand here. They're making really great rotations around the map and getting those early game advantages that they have to look for if they want to play the mid late game out properly. And you know, again, we were talking about the top side, weak side for Rutgers here. That's exactly what's happening here. Low top, it's 56 CS in 11 minutes, which is not even 5 CS a minute. Extremely detrimental for a bruiser split carry such as Camille, who's looking for that Triforce spike, who's looking for those items so that she could be a really powerful team fighter, skirmisher, and a split pusher. So with that delay in her items, we're going to see a lot of difficulty for Rutgers to play the comp that they want to play. And you know, the Set being at 10 CS a minute against the cast and just having free reign over the lane permanently is just another showcase of how the Set blind pick is just backfiring completely on the Rutgers side here.
And I don't know if the observers caught that, but Caston, I don't believe, was able to get any of the plating gold from the mid lane. Meanwhile, Set got all 5, shared with Graves, of course. So there is a 1300 gold lead coming out in the mid lane, as well as Rem gonna be having his, I believe, Archangel second item gonna be delayed here. He's choosing to go into the Tabi, which makes sense. However, it will delay his tier purchase, which will delay his scaling even further.
And, you know, with the Phage completed, actually with the Triforce indeed completed for the Set, I mean, he can run at the casting with impunity at this point, just look for favorable trades that he's never going to lose due to his W here. As
And it will be the Bruiser set rather than tank. They did opt in for the Triforce just for the dueling power it gives. So he will be able to just 1v1 whenever he decides to, rather than the more team fight oriented Bomby Cinder into Deadman you usually see. You usually see it as that mid-tick build.
I mean, currently with such a lead, this seems like a good pick here, but you know, one thrown team fight, this could actually be extremely detrimental for PSU here. They have seen such items.
Gonna whiff though, but takes the EN, but will be taking the trade back. The Set ult coming in, the showstopper, face breaker combo hits all 3. Flash auto from J4 gonna land on Sen, gonna take her out, but Set's gonna run straight in. It looks like they might be looking to donate the kill here. He's gonna EQ out. Maybe donating kill might be a mistake, but the Q from Graves, the auto flash. And it's gonna be a 1 for 3 play in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised that they look for that fight there with so many unknowns in jungle. If you take a look at the vision on the Rutgers side, it's just so dark everywhere. And, you know, of course, they got rotated on by the Set rotating from mid lane through river where there's absolutely no vision. And going for such a play is so risky from Rutgers. Yes, they're desperate right now. Yes, they want to look for the early game plays as well, trying to get some sort of lead back before the mid game comes into play here. But with such a play, they get put even further behind, and now they're just unable to contest any neutral objectives at all here. And their jungle might even be warded up for potential picks on the Penn State side.
It's definitely a bit of a mismatch coming out from Rutgers, because while they do want to get their bot lane ahead, it's impossible to make these plays because Caston is just unable to follow them. He's too far behind, he's not level 11 just yet, And it looks like he is going the Lost Chapter first instead of the Tier for maybe a bit more power, I guess. But it's a bit strange if you think about it, because the Tier is going to be even more delayed.
I mean, it seems that Rutgers is really playing towards that late game win con at this point. It doesn't look like they're going to be with the Caston delaying his tier for so long. He's not even going to be able to stack it by, I say, around 20, even 25 minutes, if depending on how long the tier's delayed. So in this case, the only way for Rutgers to really play towards their late game win cons is to actually just delay the game enough so that Penn State can't quite end and Caston just gets strong enough where he can just take favorable fights.
Camille's definitely going to have to find a way out of this lane, because the set has a 3.3k gold lead on her, does have the Triforce Caulfield Tabi. Meanwhile, Camille has the Mercury Treads, which is definitely, I believe, a questionable choice. While she would potentially want it just for the MR it gives, the value of Tabi as you get this game is just so much higher.
Yeah, and yes, Akali is a magic damage dealer, but her at the end of the day, her main damage still comes from her passive autos, which is somewhat mitigated by Tabi's here.
Yeah,
and with Graves and Senna, I mean, I don't know why Tabi's wouldn't be the choice here.
Rutgers was able to make a small play bot lane, did blow the Akali's flash. Matt did head down for that. It looks like Senna might be getting picked off here if she keeps walking that way. And here comes Zan's Blade missing, but there's too much damage coming out. Did not have the cleanse up, so could not run. Chose to use ulti, interestingly enough. It's similar to what you see fairly often with stopwatches, that people tend to panic use it, when in reality, even if they use it, they are dead no matter what. So it does make me question the ulti usage, with Senna's ult being such a crucial cooldown. PSU gonna respond to the Dragon Take by plopping Herald on mid, gonna take it, as well as the top side jungle. Wolves might be up for Decipher by the time he gets there, but he's gonna be mid currently.
Interesting trade decision by Rutgers to go for the Dragon and let the second tier 2 drop. Perhaps what they're thinking is that if they can actually get the inhib to drop and stall out the time for Rem to farm up those super minion waves, he could get ahead enough to play the game, basically, given his current position here. But they only managed to get the tier 2 tower with Mr. Lazy continuing to push down the top side. And here we have seen the game once again stabilize. The set going back with another 1.7k gold here, picking up components for a Death Stance. So yes, this set is indeed going for the Bruiser build with the Death Stance here. Interestingly enough, he elected to go to Triforce instead of the Black Cleaver, but I suppose with the Black Cleaver on Bruiser already, stacking Black Cleavers isn't really necessary here, and just perhaps more damage out of this set could spell the doom for Rutgers with a well-placed Facebreaker.
Another thing is, J4 has decided to go the Locket second item to counteract the Karsus ult coming in. Karsus does have the Haunting guys, did go for the Ludens as well, surprisingly. He elected to go for the Blasting Wand component of Ludens first, so maybe he did originally plan to go for the Roa until he got set a bit too far behind in lane. But now he is back, got 2 more kills, and it looks like they will be making a bot play. Akali gonna go in, Gunblade has not committed the R yet, and TP coming in from Lil Top actually. Karsus ult gonna come down, hit Rem, and the ulti from Karsus gonna take him out. Hextech ultimate coming onto Graves, but it doesn't look like they actually have the damage for this. Akali ulting in R2, and it looks like J4 is on the run now. He can't get away from this though. There's too much chase down coming out from Akali. He can maybe look for cheesy EQ and it will land, but the Shroud will save her. Red Smite doesn't do enough damage here, and it looks like just another play coming out with PSU coming on top.
I think that was more of a misplay from Rutgers than a play from PSU. I mean, the idea was that the Collie is in a position where the Collie was in a position where perhaps with the Hextech Ultimatum, with the Kasten having level 11 here and both items, core items completed, he would be able to fight the Collie for long enough for the Camille to arrive and kill. But unfortunately, it seems that Rem overestimated his damage and looked for the final ultimate into Collie, ended up costing his life.
They did get a bit of a compensation top lane though. Set did a bit of an overstay, so Leon was able to land a free solar flare. And while he did land the flash ult onto Transact, by the time it landed, he was already dead. So a free 700 gold shutdown going over to Transact, who is incredibly big on this Caitlyn.
I mean, Transact has to be the star of the show here for Rutgers. He's the only way in for Rutgers at this point. With 8.7k gold here, it doesn't even get close to matching Mr. Lazy's almost 10,000 gold in his pockets here. It's going to be very difficult for Transact actually to play Caitlyn safely here, given how powerful the set engage could be. And we see here that not only that, but in fact, yes, the scoreline seems to be 5-1-1 for Transact and 2-3 and 6 for Dystopia Reaper. But in fact, Dystopia Reaper is just 300 gold behind, so it's actually not that big of a lead at all. So it's interesting to see how Rutgers is going to delay the game until the late game for casting the scale. As both teams set sight to try to get some vision control in the river for Baron. But obviously, with the much stronger gold lead on the red side, Penn State is going to find the priority control.
We've definitely entered a bit of a lull state while we're waiting for Dragon to come up. It looks like Rutgers has elected to go for the Baron vision sap rather than the Dragon. It looks like they will be seeding it a bit too far behind to be able to comfortably contest it. And Camille will be sacking the bot wave, as he knows everyone on PSU is bot side trying to just get vision control. It's not safe to push at the wave. Meanwhile, Rem gonna most likely take out the top tier here, get a bit more gold into his pockets. And it does appear that he sold his cloth armor. Rem deciding to go for Null Magic Mantle, it appears.
Again, an interesting choice for Rem here, going for the Merc Treads, it seems, or perhaps that could be building into a Banshee's Veil instead. The Fiendish Codex and No Magic Mantle combo could be instead building into that item here.
I think it actually be potential. Oh, but the net gonna miss from Caitlyn. That is massive. Will get ulted into the team and just deleted by a Collie. I am Nice Guy, gonna run for the hills. Graves not gonna be able to pick up any more kills off this one. Rem on the backside, gonna delete two. The bot lane is gone. Carsisol coming in. Flash from Leo to escape. But Rem turned that fight around at the very last moment. So it looks like that's not gonna be a Baron for PSU. Instead, a massive gold amount onto the Kassadin.
I mean, that looked like a favorable fight for PSU there. In fact, Transact being instantly deleted, him being the most amount of gold on the Rutgers team, it seemed that PSU was going to win that fight handily, but Rem finds the big flank and instantly deletes the Senate West, both flash and cleanse up actually. I mean, the cleanse wouldn't do much, but keeping the flash and giving Kassadin the kill there was a really big mistake, because now Rutgers has a way in. Rutgers has the Kassadin win condition again. Before, he was still behind enough so that it was actually very difficult for them to play, but given that he is now only 1k gold down instead of 2k gold against the set, there could be an angle for
that. A bit of an overextension maybe. Gonna EQ, gonna miss. Stun gonna come down. Kassadin is here. Gonna potentially pick up yet another kill, and he does. Akali, and now a bit too deep. Ace in the hole gonna find her, and it's a 2-for-0 play in the bot side jungle.
And that was the classic Leona bait. I mean, you see this happen all the time. The Leona walks up against the really fed laner, and the fed laner think, oh, it's just the Leona, it's just support. Obviously, I'm just gonna come kill them and hit them a couple times. But instead, what happened was the Leona base
damage reduction just too much. Yeah, the set does not have the build to be able to take down a tanky Leona. Meanwhile, Dystopia Reaper just gets found out by Rem, snuffed him out. Now Rem can help zone off the Graves. He's so massive right now on this cast pick. They will get Baron. And it looks like Lil Top gonna have to flash away from a bit of an overextended hook shot.
I mean, their job was to zone, and if the little top died there, he dies there, in my opinion. He somehow has managed to regain some kind of a CS difference in the top lane. The Collegiate just like up in the farm, it seems. Yes, he's still down gold, but at least he has the Triforce completed at this point in the game. Both him and the Collegiate are equally weak, I would argue. But now Rem, in the span of just 2 minutes, we were just talking about how he was 2k gold down, but now he's on even footing with the set now with just a 100 gold difference between the two. And I mean, this is Rutgers' game to win at this point. If he's able to push for that level 16, which he's extremely close to, the cast and win con is just so difficult for Penn State to deal with. As we said during draft, it's so hard for them to find the CC needed to kill the cast in here with squishy opponents such as Graves, Akali, Karthus, Senna, and even the set here, relatively squishy given the items that he chose to build.
This set, actually, both mid laners chose a very interesting keystone, a rune choice in the middle row for the precision tree, with Matt opting in for the Legend Bloodline. And lastly, Set, who is kicking himself currently for this one, decided to go Alacrity. So whenever Leona does find him in these fights, he's just locked down for centuries. He doesn't have the tenacity in his build.
I notice how, generally speaking, when users of the precision tree go precision, they take tenacity at this point in the game, whereas Bloodline is almost better in all cases than Alacrity. But regardless, even though he didn't take tenacity, the Mr. Lacey has elected to go Abby's, and that's just such a crazy oversight, that, in my opinion, from Mr. Lazy here, because he quite literally has 0 tenacity.
Yeah, with him being the main engage, if he gets CC'd right after the showstopper lands, he can't land the follow-up facebreaker that pretty much guarantees a fight win for PSU.
I mean, truly right here, this could be a shopkeeper difference for Rutgers here. If Rutgers is able to get that cast on level 16, which he actually just hit right now, it's going to be so scary for Penn State to walk up here. And Casta and Lil Top can actually elect for the 1-3-1 now. It's going to be very hard for the set to engage on something like the J4, the Kayla, and the Leona. And so with so many disengaged tools, they have to find some kind of pick in the river and the jungles here, as Penn State is looking for that angle right now. Trying to get vision around the Baron here, around the Dragon here, sorry. But Rem is splitting top lane with impunity at this point.
Also, to answer Kumot's question in the chat, yes, it is a Karthus bot there. Dystopia Reaper is a Karthus one-trick with over 1 million points, but right now the fight breaks out. Otto gonna chunk Senna for half her health, but it looks like they will be able to walk it out. Graves gonna step on a trap, but meanwhile, if they can stop the ports, Rem is pushing top lane right now. It looks like Dystopia Reaper is gonna get his back off while everyone else is running for the hills. I don't believe it's an inhib take, but that is very good.
I think it's definitely
going in onto the Karthus. Gonna have to flash away the R flash as well, but Rem is dead here. They do get the inhib from the minions though.
Definitely a misplay from Ren there. He could definitely have taken the inhib, and after the exhausted blow, he could have walked away. But he elected to chase under turn, giving an 850 gold shutdown to Karthus is not something that you want to see here, especially when Karthus is in fact their late game insurance against you.
And while Rem now was able to buy... Yeah, the inhib did go down top lane from the minions, and Rem was able to buy the Banshee Veil, but if you were to turn on the gold count, he does have 300 gold lying around. Well, 225 after the Pinkcore purchase, but he did not need to fight for that kill so hard. His flash, which is such a crucial tool for getting onto the backline of PSU, is now down.
And arguably speaking, he did burn the flash of Dystopia Reaper there, so perhaps that was a worthwhile trade in his eyes, but I think that his survivability is so much more important here because he is currently the carry of Rutgers along with Transact autoing from the back line. I mean, again, Rutgers drafted dive comp, they want to be diving here, and him being able to get out after he makes the dive is so important. So we shall see how Rutgers decide to play with a gold.
Interesting build coming out for Decipher as well. It looks like he's electing to go... Oh, never mind. It's the stone plate. He had the ruby crystal lying around, so I thought it was an abyssal mask, but it is a pretty traditional stone plate locking combo. You do pop the stone plate, but right now Leona does get caught out. Zenith Blade onto the Senna, went a bit deeper than she originally planned. Showstopper coming in onto Lil Top, gonna ult him out, but the trap onto the Zanya's Karthus what Caitlyn does best, gonna just take him out. Rem onto the backline, gonna have to flash away. Catalyst coming down onto Grace. And it looks like Akali's gonna ult in, but has to run it out. Too chunked out from the Caitlyn with the red buff. Senna might be looking for a cheesy kill here on Caitlyn, but the traps are keeping her away. Rem gonna steal away with the red buff, and it looks like it is a one fight for Rutgers.
And surprisingly, it was actually only a 2-for-1 with such chaos happening over there in the topside jungle. Seeing that the catch was actually on Ivanez,
Rem
it's probably...
finds Senna, was
Wow,
able to ult into the fog of war. PSU did not have the vision necessary. It looks like an EQ onto Graves gonna land, 900 gold shutdown, and it looks like the Netherblade and Presence of Mind gonna give Rem over 2,000 mana in the blink of an eye, gonna allow him to pump out even more 800 mana ultis.
I mean, this is just the power of linking casting here. Him finding those crucial picks here is actually really what's keeping Rutgers in the game here. The gold lead has solidified back to an even state for Rutgers. Only a 500 gold lead now for Penn State instead of the 6,000 we were seeing before as Rutgers turns their sights onto the Baron.
It looks like Mr. Lazy was finally able to get some tenacity. If the Steric Fury passive will give him some tenacity he needs. Leona gonna Hex Flash over, give herself pop Blast Cone, get back out, and it's a free Baron for Rutgers, and the gold is now even.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say in the early parts of the game that, you know, this game was Penn State's to lose, and indeed that is true right now. Penn State is beginning to, you know, like lose sight of their win condition. They needed this game to end before 30 minutes, and now Caston's level 18.
Oh yeah, going off what Kumwat said in chat about the top lane of CS, there was a bit of a kerfuffle early on this game, where with Rutgers deciding to lane swap their top lane top to get the Rift Herald, it put both top laners at a very big disadvantage because Camille was not able to farm the bot wave against a Karsus Senna, and Akai was forced to cede most of her turret against the Caitlyn Fiona. So that's what led to that big deficit.
Yeah,
there.
definitely. I mean, the top laner CS is definitely a little lacking, but I mean, at least both top laners are equally poor in CS. So. But now it's actually the Rutgers on the front foot here, looking for advantages here as Caston's on the flank, spotted on the ward.
Caitlyn did opt in for the GA here, so if Karthus does continue to get these item spikes, he will be picking up the Zanya's next, most likely. This Caitlyn is not going to live much longer after getting hit by a Karthus. It will just do about half her health bar in damage, with her having no MR. She did opt in for the Executioner's last item, which will become the moral reminder. Does have the GA to stick around and fights a bit longer, but other than that, Dragon coming up now, gets taken out by Rutgers. 3 dragons to 3, double Cloud Soul on double Cloud Dragon on both teams, sorry.
Yeah.
Rem gonna be picking up the Rabadon soon as well. I mean, 300 gold away.
Arguably speaking, it's so beneficial for Rutgers to be picking up this Dragons, not for their own ult usage, but in fact deny the ultimate usages from the Penn State side.
And Engage coming into Karthus, Blade landing, ult gonna follow, and looks like Karthus gonna be taken down for free. Lil Top gonna have to escape here. Karthus ult coming in, Locket as well, gonna absorb all the damage coming out from the Karthus ulti. But it looks like Transact's a bit caught out. Karthus diving to the backside. EQ from J4 gonna run away. And it looks like it's gonna be a dead Caitlyn.
Rem is still alive here, looking for some kind of angle in.
Oh, look, the E gonna land. Bouncing is enough. The Banshee Veil on him, giving him too much MR. Rem can win this if he goes back in. W gonna land. Gonna miss the ult, however. A very crucial ult to miss. Gonna E in anyway. It looks like he will get autoed down by the set. Too much healing on him.
I mean,
from the death stance.
Definitely greedy from Ren there. The inhib does indeed drop, so that's fine there. But Ren could instead have looked for that bot turret, and getting that bot turret actually would have been really crucial for the plans of Rutgers. They really want to push this late game.
I just don't think he expected the fleet footwork healing to be so much on the set as well as the death stance.
I mean, with absolutely no healing reduction on him, I think that he should expect at least a death stance to mitigate enough damage from the set. Yes, he has no MR, but it's still a set. At the end of the day, his passive is all about healing that missing HP back. You know, he gains additional health regeneration for each 5% missing health. So with him being at almost 10%, he was getting around 50% missing health regeneration there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not 50%. 50 raw health. That would be pretty crazy if he was regenerating 50% of his
Yeah,
health bar.
a bit of an in-combat Warmogs at that point.
Yeah.
So it looks like Lil Top will be picking up the Ravenous here, and most importantly, Rem has the Rabadon's death cap. He will be having 844 AP, and on top of that, did purchase the Elixir of Sorcery with his leftover money. He's full build now, level 18, but right now bot lane, I am Nice Guy, bit caught out. No, it burns the ulti to run it out. He's gonna live. A bit questionable, however, for I'm Nice Guy to be there. There's no objective coming up for another 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and his team is nowhere near him.
Granted, at least no summoners were burned except for I'm a Nice Guy here using the flash, but he does have the Hex Flash available, so perhaps it's not as terrible of a misstep as it is. But here Rem's looking to engage into the set once again, losing his Banshee's Veil in the process here, which could prove quite dangerous as Rutgers is looking to push in the bottom wave.
Interesting enough, the Cypher will be giving Rem the red buff, hopefully give him some health sustain in the side lane, but right now, gonna burn the Flash Dystopian Reaper. Flash E coming out onto Rem, gonna have to burn the Zanyas, but he's most certainly dead here. EQ gonna save him. Akali exit perfect execution gonna come down, gonna whiff though. Flash Cataclysm on set, she's completely caught out, and it looks like it's gonna be a one fight for Rutgers. Rem is completely untouched. Gonna land another R onto Set. Set has no damage left, so gonna kill Rem with the showstopper at the end. Leona gonna run it down, but right now, Transact and Lil Top are just autoing at the turret. And the airborne EQ gonna place a trap right on top of that. Caitlyn's specialty, but gonna have to be chased away by the Karthus. Right now, it's gonna be Set versus the world here. Auto coming down, and the Cube Triforce pop gonna take him out. But most importantly, Transact gonna get hit by a Skittle and just explode.
Definitely a little bit of aggressive move to walk up against the Karthus like that for Transact here. They actually had the potential end there, but and Karthus was indeed running out of mana, but Senna was coming up, so perhaps the call was to back off. They did get the triple inhibitors with Baron up here. This is a huge play from Rutgers here. If they're able to get this Baron, the next inhib up should be the top inhib with around 30 seconds to a minute left on that timer. So if they could take advantage of the fact that both inhibs are still down right now and get that Baron, they can really look for that push to end. There is only one Nexus Tower left up for the side of Penn State, and the gold lead is still quite dead even, but I mean, with the Laking Castle, is the gold lead ever really even?
That Rutgers is looking it straight to get the Cloud Fall. It's going to be incredibly huge on this Kassadin. Going to be able to just be kite around so much. Going to get the ulti CDR reduction as well. And potentially just give this Leona the move speed she needs to just run at the backline Karthus and zone him out of the fight completely.
I mean, in my opinion, I think that what should be happening here is Lil Top should be solo taking the dragon with his precision protocol and looking for the Baron instead of the team.
Gonna get found out by the Set. Gonna walk it out though. They did not have the vision. Caught a bit unaware. Gonna lose Banshees as well, but gonna ult in. Set has his Scarix pop. Gonna get the tenacity and ult to escape onto Rem, but it's just not enough. There's too much damage. Not enough team for Mr. Lazy. Akali Perfection gonna land onto I Am Nice Guy, take him out, but at the same time, Rem has just ulted straight into the base and is gonna take the turret and kill Dystopian Reaper with impunity. There's no damage in the world that could prevent that from happening onto Karthus. It looks like it's gonna be a game 1 steal from Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Rutgers really did not deserve that win there with how they played the early game there. They really looked for the early games play that ended up backfiring on them, and the only reason why they were able to come back was because Rem found a miracle play in the top lane, right by the base of Rutgers, actually finding 2 crucial kills and a shutdown on himself to propel himself forward in the gold lead. And you know, the oversteps over and over again from the side of Penn State, trying to look for picks, trying to look for this Caston, trying to look for this Caitlyn, that instead they were the ones being picked. They were the ones being run down. And giving up that Baron just gave Rem so much gold in his pocket that he was able to find those kills, find those levels that he needed to find himself into that late game Caston state. And, as we said before, during the draft, this was Penn State's game to lose in the late game. There's no way for them to stop this Caston. There's not enough CC. There's just not enough damage coming onto this, reliable damage coming onto this Caston. Other than the Karthus ultimate, they're not going to be able to stop Matt, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, and the damage graphs really do tell the tale of this game. Rem doing almost 50% of Rutgers' damage, being around 45 actually. It's just absurd to believe that this Caston was at one point about 3k gold behind Mr. Lazy and just getting zoned from CS and losing his turret.
Yeah, I mean, this is the classic case of the late game Caston.
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State was not able to find the mid game pressure that they needed to find to push down the turrets. I mean, looking at their champions, colleague Graves said they're all very strong mid game champions, but they play very difficultly in the late game here due to their early game stats being so high. The reason why they're valued as champions here is because of their mid game stats that are going to be able to let them get a little bit advantages over the Rutgers side. But unfortunately, getting caught out actually spelled their doom here. Both 40-22 and in fact a Mooch with 5 deaths apiece, and 2 of those deaths being back to back, getting killed by Rem in the jungle, just not having enough awards is really detrimental to them and ended up costing them the game. And here we have, I do believe we are going to get into game 2 soon. We will be back when the draft begins. Thank you, everybody, for following the stream here. Be sure to tell your friends that Rutgers University League of Legends is indeed streaming at twitch.tv/Rutgers University LOL. We will see you once we get back to the draft.
Let's just pull you closer. I can't understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you gave to me. Loosening my grip as pulled you into me. When I let you go, it just pulled you closer. It's a long departure. It's a long departure. Before I see you again, before it all makes sense, but I can't hold you back. And I still don't understand where it came from, but you're back in with the passion. I'm awake with the flame in a hailstorm. I'm back in, I gotta have it. Everything to do with what you gave to me. Loosening my grip as pulled you into me. When I let you go, it just pulled you closer. It's a long departure. It's a long departure.
All right, welcome back to game 2. Rutgers University versus Penn State University Junior Varsity. We are getting into the draft here for game two. A decisive, not a decisive, but a very close win attained by Rutgers here in the first game, barely managing to eke out a 6,000 gold deficit and turning it around. And we do hope to see similar performance here in game two. I mean, I'm going to expect a more CC orientated draft for the side,
Looks
for the
draft
side of
is gonna
PSU.
start here. Rutgers has chosen to go blue side once more. Fiddleban again makes sense. Take out the one trick. It looks like same band so far. Gonna be the Shen and Fiora coming down as well, and the Bard. So first four bands the same. But Rutgers has opted for the Karsus band instead.
The Karthus was their late game insurance, and of course, banning on one tricks always helps here. So definitely not a bad play from Rutgers here.
Yeah,
at all.
however, this does open up the Samira pick. Let's see, Rutgers, if they want it first pick here, but they are hovering the set.
I mean, knowing how the Rutgers roster plays, I'm going to assume that the set's either going support or in the top lane. I don't think Rem plays a lot of set in the middle lane, so going to assume that set's going support here probably is my biggest guess. But again, the greatest first pick being hovered by PSU here. A strong early game jungler that actually performed quite well in the early game, so I do like to see this pick from PSU. Trying to push their early mid-game advantage again, but I do hope to see a little bit more support on the CC side for them, and indeed the Leona is locked in for PSU, having learned their lesson that CC is quite an important tool this game.
Yeah. Also, the set pick could dissuade the Samira as well, because Set just has so much instantaneous CC to get her out of the ulti that she's most known for. And while Samira Leona is an incredibly strong lane, if you were to just put Set there in the support, it would be so helpful. And the Senna pick coming in as well. Transact, I don't believe, plays much Senna. He's mostly known for his Jinx, Caitlyn, and Ezreal, so this is definitely a surprise.
In fact, having played with Transact before, he has expressed that he is able to play all meta AD carries. Yes, he doesn't play them much in solo queue, but he did say that Senna is in his champ pool. So it could possibly be a Senna, although I do know that he is not particularly comfortable on it. But currently we have two flex picks here going on. It could be a Senna set bot lane, or it could be a Senna support bot lane with the set going top here. We're not really sure, but the Ezreal is being hovered here by PSU. A little bit more of a safe pick here now, being able to dodge out of the engage that Rutgers currently possesses with the Hecarim and the set here. But again, Rutgers drafting a very CC heavy comp here. A lot of crowd control coming from the Senna, a lot of crowd control coming from the Hecarim with the Sphere, and of course the set face breaker into Showstopper. Jack's ban actually coming through for Rutgers. Still doesn't really telegraph where the set is quite going here, but the Morgana ban
make me wonder if Rutgers are going to opt in for the Camille once more, because Jax does have a fairly strong matchup into it. PSU gonna ban the Morgana. They most likely don't believe the set's gonna be going support here with Senna ADC. Maybe they don't think that Transact will be playing it, and their PSU gonna take out the Kassadin, which was able to win Rutgers last game.
In my opinion, I think that the Kassadin ban is actually a very poor ban here. Why? Mainly due to the fact that you do have a Leona on your team now. You do have that guaranteed CC on that Kassadin now. And not only that, I mean, if you take a look at here, if Penn State doesn't pick the Galio or the Camille here, they have a Galio Camille Hecarim combo going on for Rutgers right now. With the blue side pick being the double pick in the last phase of pick bans, this could be a really dangerous combo that Rutgers could be looking at here if the Galio or the Camille isn't picked here. So Volibear is locked in for PSU. Let's see if Rutgers elects to go for that combination.
Interestingly enough, they did ban out the Zillion. Now, the only player that does play Zillion is Dystopia Reaper, so maybe they're thinking that Mr. Lazy is actually going to lane swap bot here, and they're going to put Dystopia Reaper mid on the Zillion.
With a Volibear answer, I think that it's the blind pick into the Camille is what they're anticipating here.
Oh, but
Lilia!
the Lilia
Oh.
top, Lil Top's namesake coming in to counteract the Volibear top. Most likely gonna go just a very kite-oriented build to help mitigate Volibear's early strength.
Yeah, in fact, Lil Top was actually known for his Lilia during tryouts here for the Rutgers team. He pulled it out and almost was able to carry a game solely on the Lilia's back, and the Oriana coming through for the ball delivery system along with Hecarim. So it does seem that indeed the set is going bot lane with the Senna here. Very strong bot lane, a very engage heavy, all-in heavy bot lane here into the Leona
I
Ezreal.
The question is whether or not it's going to be the fasting Senna who lets the set get all the farm, or if it's just going to be a traditional set support here. We did see a lot of non-fasting Sennas at Worlds recently, where they just decided to go for the D-Blade and take the farm.
Yeah.
But I believe they did nerf it recently, the Senna soul gain on kill.
Yeah, they did nerf that, but the soul drop is still enough to let the Senna scale into the late game. But the Syndra pick into the Oriana here, matching likely phase rush for phase rush here. Syndra has traditionally been the power pick into Oriana here, with the huge stun range that Syndra possesses. She could look for plays alongside the Graves in the mid lane here. Interesting to see how the team comps play out. I mean, Rutgers again is looking to go in on the enemy team with the Hecarim and Oriana ball on him, looking for some damage mitigation with the Senna ultimate following up, and with the set just bursting through the back line with a well-placed showstopper on Leona. But PSU, also a lot of engage on their side. The Leona Solar Flare, the Volibear being able to chase down many of the champions on the Rutgers side. The saving grace for Rutgers is that they have a lot of kite potential as well. Oriana slows, Lilia passive move speed within the team fight is going to have her zooming around. Hecarim, of course, can easily walk out. Senna with his Shroud. Rutgers is also quite proficient at kiting, so I'm actually very interested to see how the team fights will fight out and how both sides decide to play out their team comps.
I think it's definitely going to come down to who can get the better picks. It most likely is just going to be Sen and Oriana taking the cleanse due to the Leona and Syndra respectively.
Likely, very likely.
This Ezreal, I believe, is going to have a bit of a problem just getting damage in, because he will most likely just tickle the set come later on into this game, as well as the Hecarim. So it's going to be mostly up to the Graves and Syndra to bring in the damage.
Wait, the Hecarim was locked in by Lil Top.
That's definitely an interesting pick. Lilia, as you said earlier, does have the favorite matchup into Graves. I would have preferred the Hecarim in the jungle, however, just because you do get that good match of AD and AP coming in for the solo lanes in jungle.
Yeah, I mean, at this currently right now we have a top AD and mid jung AP. So assuming that there's no trading shenanigans that's gonna happen here, it's gonna be the Hecarim top for Lil Top into the Volibear, excuse me. And the Lilia matchup, as you said, I mentioned earlier, the Lilia matchup is not quite favored towards Lilia, I want to say, but Lilia's passive move speed really allows her to run away from that Graves phase rush. It really allows her to kite him out and play the fight on her terms. So interesting swap here done by Rutgers, and a great flex pick done on the Hecarim. Baiting out the potential jungle bans actually. I mean, I want to take a look at the spot lane more. In regards to the Senna versus the Ezreal, what do you think that the early game wave movement is going to look like? What do you think because you're much more knowledgeable in the bot lane than I am, but who do you think has the advantage?
It's definitely just going to be Senna set having the wave control, most definitely. It's so hard for Ezreal to just push it out early, and Leona's level 1 is nothing to write home about. I think the lane is most likely just going to end up being Ezreal AFK farming with Q and Leona trying to make plays across the map with her CC onto Oriana potentially. It will be a bit harder with Oriana most likely opting for the cleanse here.
Yeah, I really
I
hope
think the point of contention is going to be this top lane matchup. I do feel that Hecarim is going to have a very hard time into this Volibear, with Volibear just wanting to constantly be on top of you with the Q auto EW, Hecarim can't really do much except run away, which is not what Lilia would like to have when she goes to contest the scuttle.
Yeah, and once again, we're seeing a weak side top mid again from the Rutgers side with a little bit of a stronger bot lane.
Oh, it looks like they do end up swapping it back. Lil top
Yeah.
gonna get the Lilia. It makes sense in my head to just
Yes.
have the Lilia to escape the Volibear's early game pressure.
Yes, I completely agree. I think that this was definitely the better play here. Yes, Hecarim into Graves is not ideal for Hecarim. Graves can very easily kite him out, but if Hecarim does look for the Ghost phase, where he is able to stick to the Graves. So we will see how the rune choices go when the game begins. And you know, I do believe that Syndra has a little bit more punching power than Orianna in the early game, and also a little bit more control over the lane state. So I do hope to see some 2v2 skirmishes that PSU try to force, especially in the top river where they do have some semblance of demand to cheer. Because personally, I would never want to fight a set in a skirmish in a 2v2. I mean, the set W and the Senna heal is just sometimes too overpowering in the early game, and they're really deceptive in how much damage that they can do here. I mean, I'm very difficult to see which team has advantage in the late game, because both, I mean, the Rutgers late game potential would be Senna along with the Orianna dealing a lot of poke damage, as well as backline healing and shielding from both of them, whereas PSU is looking for the Syndra picks, is looking for the Ezreal scaling. I mean, Ezreal as an 80 carry is just so tanky when building the Iceborne Death Stance combination, and you know, against a team like Set, Senna, and Hecarim, who are really going to be the only, and the Set and Hecarim being the only two who's going to be able to get on top of this Ezreal, building the Iceborne will be invaluable here. Getting value out of that item, and the kiting potential. If he manages to land an Iceborne hit on the Lily, it actually cuts a lot of her movement speed. So that could be PSU's plan of attack for the late game. Looking for the Ezreal Syndra scaling, looking for those picks, as you said, with the Leona Solar Flare and the Syndra E.
Yeah, I just feel a bit confused when it comes to the Hecarim Orianna combo, because I can definitely see that combo being messed up fairly easily when it comes to the Hecarim fearing them out of the shockwave.
I mean, the idea is that the Hecarim needs to call when the fear is coming through. If the ball essentially needs to be in the pull animation already when Hecarim reaches its destination, which is what makes the fear so potent later on.
Yeah, it definitely does come down to the communication, but we will see you after the break.
welcome back to Star League Northeast Division, Rutgers University versus Penn State University. Game 2 here, as Rutgers takes the first game of the series in a very close victory against Penn State here. Be sure to check out in the chat, we do have a straw poll going. If you scroll up just a little bit, who will win Game 2? Cast your predictions here on the straw poll. Will it be Rutgers, are you rah-rah, or will it be Penn State forcing this game to go to a Game 3? As both teams elect to do a classic 5-point start here. And looking at rune choices, I'm surprised that Syndra went Electrocute here.
I am also surprised if the Hecarim does get on top of her, she is just done for. But another interesting thing I would like to point out is that both Rem and Transact have opted to go for the TP and heal respectively. I don't necessarily agree with that, however I can see why they would want to do it if, say, Rem were to be pushed out early to have the TP. But come later on, it's just going to be so scary to just be able to get hit by, say, a Scatter the Weak from Syndra, or a Solar Flare from Leona, and just be done in instantly. Transact can opt for the Edge of Night here, and Rem can go for the Banshee's Veil, but it's definitely a bit dangerous. Also, another thing is, Liltop has gone the Conqueror here, as well as the Triumph. Gonna look for more of a battle mage build rather than just kiting out fights, per se.
Yeah, the Conqueror is really good and has done a lot of healing for Lil Top, and generally speaking, Lilia no longer takes the phase rush, given that her passive move speed is more than enough to work with. So I do like the Conqueror rune choice here. Instead of taking Dark Harvest would be the other choice. Obviously, Dark Harvest is a very snowballing matchup, and against the Volley Bear, it's very unlikely that you're going to find those snowballing plays.
It looks like a bit of vertical jungling coming out, actually, from the Graves and Hecarim. They both will be spotted invading, but it looks like Graves might be just booking it straight to the blue buff, and Hecarim will have to run it out. Rem does catch out, or Syndra heading over, and it looks like a Zenith Blade gonna land on, gonna be a small trade, but most importantly, Decipher is zoned away from the blue.
Yeah,
and Muchi's gonna get a free triple buff.
Yeah, and that was a good call from Penn State. They're looking for that triple buff there, knowing that the Orianna can't rotate before the Syndra pushes her in.
Oh, and Orianna maybe made a bit of an overextension. Set Haymaker gonna come in, the flash auto from Transact landing. Ezreal eating in, one more auto, and Ezreal might actually come out top of this trade as well, because Graves is running straight down. Transact needs to run. He knows that Graves is bot side, but he's going for the kill, and is most likely gonna get it. The W gonna land, and Graves is gonna have to run because Hecarim has arrived. The horse is here. He has the red buff slow, the glacial slow as well, and it's gonna be every single sum except Ignite burnt from the PSU bot lane, as well as Flash from Graves. And top lane, Lil Top is able to force out Volibear's Flash. Gonna barely miss out on the Q, gonna stop the back with the bowling ball, and a massive advantage coming out for Rutgers.
And actually beautiful kiting done by Transact here. He knew that he had a massive minion wave there sitting there for him, and as you know, Graves' auto attacks will not be able to go through those minions, so him electing to stay and fight instead of trying to run away was actually his best play, considering that his healing is going to give him advantage in that 1v1 against the Ezreal. There's no way the Graves can make it there before the Ezreal takes enough damage for it to be lethal here, as a play is being made by Rutgers in the mid lane here.
Decipher looking. And it looks like the set gonna come in, the E gonna miss, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, it's still gonna be a double scuttle coming out for Decipher, and a free wave reset, most likely, for Rem if he decides to take it.
Yeah, I actually think that
awkward gold count, though. He has 900. Not enough for the lost chapter you'd like to get, but is enough for the tier if he decides to opt for it.
Yeah, I really
trying to go Archangel Staff.
I really dislike how Rutgers played that right there, because I do believe what happened was Decipher actually ran out of time on his E, which caused him to begin the channel and end up never using the E. I think what Rutgers should have said look for a play behind the behind the wall, but in between the Raptor camp on the red side, and look for a knockback into the set here, because I mean that would practically be a guaranteed kill, even with the flash burn. I'm a Nice Guy actually never used his flash in the bot lane skirmish there, so we shall see how.
On a bit of a trade coming out. It's the 0 mana battle between Syndra and Orianna, but Orianna, of course, gonna come out on top. The E Facebreaker gonna come onto Ezreal. No flash still. It's gonna be taken down by Decipher.
I mean,
and just another kill coming out and given to Transact. Very similar to last game where they were able to give him the early kills he needed, but let's see if PSU can make a repeat and get some return kills here across the map.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how that engagement went. I mean, the Senna Shroud into the set Q, and Lil Top could be looking for a slow kill.
Yeah, Lil Top gonna hit 6 off the minion wave. The W coming in. He has the cooldown. Volibear might have bit off more than he could chew, and he did. He is gone. The bear gets sent back to the Slammer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this is why the Lily top so very little people know about this matchup. They don't know how to play into it, and you know, 40-22 just disrespecting the amount of damage that Lily can do.
The CS deficit is speaking volumes as well. A 25 CS up, an almost 1k gold lead, and a solo kill.
And I really love how Decipher is electing to go for the safer play and building the rod instead of the looking to build a rod instead of the lost chapter that most majors will go for. The rod is going to give her the survivability to fight in this laning phase. And yes, the Volibear is behind, but he does actually still have kill potential on this Lily. His level 6 is very potent here. So opting in for the defensive component of the rod here is going to give her a little bit more breathing room and really just secure her laning phase. It's very difficult for her to die at this point, as Oliver does hit level 6 on that minion. But I want to talk about that bot lane fight earlier. I mean, I find it very difficult for PSU to step out of all, because if they use any crucial abilities here, what Senna can do is just create the Shroud and the set bonus movement speed from
Orianna gonna have to run here. Red Smite coming in, gonna shockwave the Syndra away. A very smart play to prevent the ult from coming down, which would have surely ended him. He has opted for the Mercury Treads early, just give him the tenacity and the MR he needs to just dodge the Syndra Dark Spears and the Scatter the Weak. But looks like we're gonna get into a bit of a pause really quick, as Leona has DC'd, lagging out a tiny bit.
Yeah, and I mean, currently right now Rutgers is in a really great position. They're exactly where they want to be right now, with a little bit of early game pressure. I mean, what they are currently worried about is the early game, right? Because what we were fearing was that they were going to have a weak top and weak mid, but with the swap from the Hecarim and the Lilia, they actually ended up with having a strong top and a strong bot, with the only weak lane being the Orianna. And even then, Orianna with Phase Rush is just so difficult to catch. So you know, Decipher actually gets a lot more breathing room. Yes, he's down CS because of the early game that he had to go look for, and he does elect for the Tabby's first item instead of the Sheen or the Phage that most Hecarims will look for, just to give him a little bit more defensive survivability here. But him being just this little bit behind is actually fine, because he is up 1 kill on the Grace, so the gold is relatively even here, and he is going back to farming. But we do see in the bot lane, actually, the Leona and Grace is walking together to secure that scuttle. Maybe the Grace will look for something here, but they do walk away, and it looks like no gank will happen here.
It does appear that Decipher has gone for the Tabi Rush, gonna help him so much into the Graves, Volley, and Ezreal. However, he did take the Legend Tenacity as well, but a dive is coming out mid lane. The end of the line gonna land onto Rem, and he's taken out just like that. Plate gonna be taken. It looks like it's just gonna be a 400 gold lead, about to be 500 for Mr. Lazy.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a really well executed dive done by the side of Penn State here. I mean, Mooch didn't even have to use his ultimate there. The collateral damage wasn't even needed to finish off the Orianna there, and Syndra perfectly stacked enough orbs just to get the kill off. But does his recall does not get interrupted there by the minion, which actually would have cost him a little bit of time. But relatively speaking, there is a gold lead, but Orianna's Orianna at the end of the day. She will be able to come back from it, and her wave there is still very strong. Electing to go for the Merc Treads, giving respect to the Syndra stun, which is a very good move from Rem's side. I do believe the blue's about to be passed off from both junglers here. Actually, the Graves Mooch looking for a play in the top lane as the wave is about to be pushed in here.
Volibear definitely could use the help, almost over double his CS, but it looks like Lil Top is gonna spot it out. Decipher gonna show an award as well, however, does have the sleeper for it. This does appear to be a winning 2v2 for Rutgers if they decide to take it. Volibear's already chunked a half HP. But it looks like Decipher's just gonna hover to make sure no shenanigans happens.
Yeah, I mean this is definitely the correct play for Decipher to play a little bit more aggressively here. The Lilia has such a great HP advantage and also the ultimate fighting.
Oh, and Decipher's actually looking at straight mid, has popped the ghost, and here it comes, but the E's gonna hit onto Orianna instead. Arrook's gonna be taking the death, but maybe it didn't matter because Decipher's just gonna tank up the turret. The showstopper gonna come down. Wait, no, sorry, I misspoke. The haymaker. Forgive me. Oh, and meanwhile, collateral damage is almost gonna take out Graves. Hecarim there.
I mean, I was surprised that the respite didn't come through. If you're gonna commit the flasher, you might as well commit everything there. Maybe the rest of it might have been just barely enough damage for Mooch to find that kill there. And I believe Mooch is looking for the double damage on the end of the line, hitting just the edge of that wall there, trying to get that little bit of extra damage, which actually would have ended up killing Decipher there. But because he barely missed, the kill opportunity is missed, and Graves is missing one of his most crucial abilities now. Sorry, his most crucial summoner, which would be his flash. He can make so many plays with that flash, and now that he's lost
the arcane shift gonna come in just in time. Dystopia Reaper gonna escape death there. A bit almost greedy with disrespect towards the Hex Flash on set. Gonna miss a minion as well. And Syndra's gonna be handed off the blue buff.
Yeah, very great play actually by I'm a nice guy walking up to check that blue buff there. Knowing that the Graves show topside, I'm assuming that the Cypher realized that the blue buff is actually still up, so him guessing that the blue buff being up and having I'm a nice guy check actually possibly saved the bot lane from a gank right there, as Graves is forced off the river here in the bot lane. Yeah, 2k gold lead for Rutgers right now. I mean, it's nothing too substantial yet. The game could still go either way, but I mean the CS difference between the top and the
solar flare gonna land a Hecarim. He's gonna be CC chained to death, and mid showstopper. I'm nice guy. I'm gonna be taking out the shockwave, laying onto 2. The TP coming in, and a 2-man sleep onto the back line. The Lil Top's gonna have to run it out here. The QW from Orion got hit too, but Syndra is still up. Has the unleashed power, gonna take out Senna. Fight still going on. Lil Top running him down with the Q cooldown being so low, and it looks like Orion's gonna fall as well.
I mean, that's the teamfight power of Lilia right there. Yeah. And Lilia mitigating, and CCing 2 members of the team with her sleep actually won them the team fight there. And again, they weren't able to find the Orianna. After blowing everything on the Hecarim, they neglected to realize that the Orianna actually had lost chapter completed. So her early game power is right about this point right now. Until she finishes the Archangels, she's not going to get much stronger than this right here. So them neglecting to use any resources on the Orianna to keep her out of the fight was a really big mistake from the Penn State side.
The fight definitely was looking pretty doomed at the start, with Decipher and I Am Nice Guy just getting erupted, both frontline taken out. However, what really started to shine was the double AP solo lane sustained damage coming out from Lil Top and Rem. They were able to threaten so much onto the backline and chunk everyone out over the course of the extended fight.
Yeah, I realized that fight was actually completed without the Cypher utilizing his ultimate ability at all, which is actually, in my opinion, a really big misplay, but a fight happening bot lane.
Yep. Looks like the Senna ult gonna come in, gonna whiff onto Ezreal. The root coming down as well. Double ult gonna chunk Senna for half for a health bar there because of the Conquer he had stacked up prior. And everyone's gonna live. No,
yeah, I mean,
that's gonna burn Ignite, but there's gonna be no kill opportunity. However, Decipher is pinging on the way, a potential dive happening. But right now, Lil Top gonna get 3-man TP coming in, but the Shockwave gonna miss. Decipher on the blast cone, waiting for the wave to get shoved in, and surely Ezreal is dead here.
Oh,
And
indeed, Ezreal
looks like the Cypher gonna have to commit ulti. Leona could be going down as well. The Eclipse gonna run out, her resistances are gone. The Cypher gonna tank the turret, but she does die here. And meanwhile, Rem is able to chase off Mooch and Mr. Lazy, so they're not as able to get much out of top lane, but meanwhile bot, Transect and I'm Nice Guy are able to pick up the turret off the dive from the Cypher.
And look at the top lane, 40-22, looking to turn on the Oriana,
the
who's
TP
overstepped just
coming
a little
down from Mr. Lazy. Does not have the Unleashed Power, however, does have the GLP. Gonna miss the Super Soaker. Q auto E gonna hit. Electrocute coming in to finish him off. And Rem goes down. TP committed, and a 4-1-2 Syndra is now running amok.
Yeah, I mean, Rem definitely overstepping there, not realizing the Volibear hasn't used his ultimate ability to giving him just enough health to actually fight the Oriana for a little bit. And, you know, with the shielding from his E, he's able to get out alive and also find the return kill on the Oriana. But now they're fighting for the Rift Herald.
Yep. Solar Flare coming in. I'm Nice Guy gonna use the W to mitigate some of the damage from Mr. Lazy, but the bowling ball gonna hit the slow. It's gonna last forever, but Lil Top does not have the ult. I believe he used it on Graves prior, so no shutdown gold gonna be given over.
And I want to say that was actually a gross misplay from Rutgers there. They could have gotten the Herald and the really fast kill on Graves, but what happened was the Cypher actually pushed Graves away from the center of the Lilia, W being the watch out.
Scatter is gonna chunk them so hard as well. The Shockwave on the 2 though, the Root gonna land onto Leona. Can they get pick here? But they're just so scared. The Syndra has her level 11 Unleashed power up, and it looks like I Am Nice Guy is gonna fall. Leona oversteps with the Sands Blade, did not want to take that trip in. Senna gonna run away from the Graves. Syndra gonna hit one last Dark Sphere, take her out. QW from Oriana, gonna hit onto Graves, he's gonna go down. Heal come from Ezreal, hopefully an Arcane Shift forward, maybe. Does not have it up just yet, needed to hit that Q. Gonna E to dodge the root, but the Senna heal is so much. The Syndra gonna stun Oriana, but the Merc Treads is too much MR, and Transact is gonna level up and live by the skin of his teeth.
What a fight there! I mean, it was so dangerously played by Rutgers. Their Transact turning in towards a brush where he had, actually he did have a pink ward in, but turning around, I believe, to put down that pink ward to get vision to continue the fight. It was very surprising to me that they actually elected to fight. I would have run there for sure, but they actually barely to live. Transact dodging, I believe, 3 Qs from the Ezreal to keep himself alive. Very surprised that Lil Top didn't move from the top lane or even throw a bowling ball down to assist his laners there. But I mean, at the end of the day, positive trade coming out from Rutgers there, finding that skirmish, and now Rem's back in the game.
And as I said earlier, it does appear that Transact has opted in for the Edge of Night second item. I was expecting it third potentially, but he goes for a second. It's just going to be that much harder to pick him off with the Solar Flare or Scatter the Weak from Syndra. Syndra going to be picking up the blue buff for free here. And Ezreal does have the Iceborne Gauntlet completed. Hopefully, he'll be able to hit a crucial Q later on with the slow field. They are going to clear out vision. Drake is up. The Mountain Dragon, if Rutgers get it, will be their sole point.
Yeah, both top laners do have TP, and Lilia, however, has the early pushing power, and she's about to get that wave right into that tower here. So
Well,
getting an
they're gonna
early
have to
TP
pass
down
up
is
to catch
good.
this wave, yeah. He does have the Spear Visage complete.
It seems that Penn State's actually giving up the dragon.
Yeah. Looks like they're leaving Transact. I'm Nice Guy into Cypher to get it, while Oriana gonna be pushing in mid. Turret's already gone, and it looks like Lil Top is chipping away slow but surely. The top turret, 400 health left. Transact gonna run down pick bot wave, and we're back to a bit of a lull state here, as both teams are just scaling.
Oh, and the Volibear pick into the Volibear pick getting counter picked by the Lilia just feels so awful. His main engage tool, the on top of the Lilia, the Thundering Smash, is just completely mitigated by the extreme move speed that Lil Top has, as well as the slows that he possesses. There's just no way for 40-22 to even get on top of this Lilia unless he decides to ulti on top of her. But in which case, she could just sleep him.
Oh, looks like the Cypher gonna look on the Graves here, but turns to Volibear, gonna eat him. Devastating charge coming in. The set showstopper onto Volibear. Ian, face break. Shockwave not gonna matter. Ezreal hits on the 3, but there's just not enough damage. And meanwhile, bot lane, Syndra's gonna get taken out by Lil Top and Transact.
I mean, a great double prong attack basically from Rutgers, finding a play on top lane and the bot lane, and now with all 3 waves pushing, I mean, I believe that. I thought that was a Herald from the Rutgers side, so if the Herald crashes mid, it'll be really devastating for the PSU side. But the Herald does have to be summoned due to the time probably running out.
With PSU coming out behind on all the skirmishes towards the mid lane, they never had a good time to plop down the Herald they got earlier, so now Rem can just pick it up for free and prevent a single charge from happening.
Although he is struggling to hit the eye, you know, I'm always telling you, the Scuttle Crab and the Rift Herald are better daughters than
ankle
Faker.
break going on to
Definitely,
Rem there.
for sure.
Hopefully he'll be able to recover that by the end of the game.
And Baron is spawning in 10 seconds, so Rutgers should be looking for some sort of mission control in the top side.
Graves, unfortunately. It looks like Syndra has decided to go for the Rabadon Deathcap second as opposed to Orianna's Spellbinder. Typically you see Syndra's go either Spellbinder second or say Azanya's. You don't usually see the Rabadon second despite her high ratios. So it is interesting to see.
Generally speaking, the Rabadon is only built after the Syndra elects to go for the Luden's Rabadon's Void Staff build, looking for that raw damage, and especially since the Syndra took the Electrocute, I'm surprised that that's not what the Syndra looked for. Generally speaking, the base rush
right now. The Flash gonna use to dodge the Shockwave, but the Orianna phase rush is too much. Maybe Rem just transitioned the ankle breaking to Mr. Lazy because he is not going to be walking for the rest of this game.
Yeah, and again, this is the difference between phase rush and electrocute on Syndra. Had Syndra had the phase rush, she might have been able to get 3 autos off just to get the power to run away.
Oh, and look,
now the teleport coming back.
Volibear, a bit too slow on the follow-up. Showstopper onto Volibear, gonna bring him back. 3-man sleep. Ezreal gonna erupt. 467 horse stomp.
What a play from Lil Top, looking for the flash Q play to get the sleep on top of 2 members of PSU and netting the kill on the Dystopia Reaper here as they turn their sights to the Baron, and there's absolutely no contest here. There's no way for PSU to even get near the pit. And with this Baron secured, I mean, this game is Rutgers to lose with the 8,000 gold and some late game insurance here. I don't see how they could throw the game unless they somehow manage to let Syndra find the biggest scatter of the week that she could find, and just getting a 3 to 4 man stun that turns the fight completely for Rutgers here. I mean, with the Volibear being so weak, 0 and 4 and 60 CS down compared to the Lilia, and the Lilia having the Rod of Ages and the Leandri's Tournament completed, it's so difficult for them to find a good team fight where the Lilia is just locked down and, you know, stopped.
It's definitely another big purchase gonna come in as well. Lilia gonna pick up the Leandri's Torment. It looks like Orianna is opting for the Leandri's 3rd item instead of the Rabadon that you typically see if they go Spellbinder. I don't necessarily agree with the pickup of Leandri's, and it looks like I'm Nice Guy a bit caught out here actually, but Syndra gonna miss the GLP again here. This item has not been working out. She's been missing most of her hosts throughout this game, actually.
Yeah, and I'm a Nice Guy just walking through the jungle with impunity, and I mean, they were so scared to engage on that set when they see 3 people on the map. Orianna was in the top lane, and
right now
Lilia
Orianna just gonna hunt down 40-22. The phase rush Spellbinder for the movement speed is just dead. But meanwhile, bot lane, I am Nice Guy, gonna eat the full unleashed power from this Syndra and just get taken out.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of overstep from I'm a Nice Guy, but granted, the team's so far ahead that they can look for anything at this point. But Lilia could be the angle of a next kill.
The Flash Zenith Blade onto this Lilia, though, does not have the Zanyas just yet. 2-man sleep, not gonna matter. Transact's just gonna be pacing a bit back and forth here. Has the Edge of Night to potentially juke it. Ezreal EWQ gonna land in the Cypher, chunk him to about half HP, but but it's most likely going to be free dragon unless Decipher opts for the steal with ulti. He has vision temporarily, but gonna get taken out. And he does go in, and it looks like he's not gonna pick it up. Graves gonna auto smite it down. And it's gonna be a free dragon coming out for PSU, but meanwhile top lane, Volibear gonna ult in. A bit of a bad choice there. Syndra from behind, the flash to dodge the scatter, though weak. Gonna go down as well, was not ready for that damage from Orianna, and Rem's just gonna pick up top inhib for free.
I mean, the Rem was split pushing the entire time the dragon fight was happening, and you know, Volibear, even with the Spirit Mistress, cannot handle an Orianna with Phase Rush, and after being solo killed and him not backing up, Syndra walks up to feed another free kill to Rem.
This Volibear is not a champion anymore. He's past his level 11 spike. He only has the Spirit Visage. Rem has double his gold pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, with three items completed, Rem is so strong right now. With a stopwatch completed,
a 4-level lead, 6k gold up. Volibear cannot match his Orianna, and neither can Syndra because of the Phase Rush.
Yeah. And I mean, Rem being at level 16 at 24 minutes is an absolutely disgusting number. He is 3 levels up the closest member in levels on the PSU side, and with 12,000 gold alone on him, he just overshadows all kinds, overshadows the items of every single member on PSU. As the Leona finally completes.
Oh, the Spellbinder gonna come in. The Shockwave gonna whiff. Actually, Lil Top gonna be able to run it out, but Rem does miss everything. No cleanse for the Solar Flare, gonna come in. Leona on top of Rem. Showstopper onto Leona, take her away from I Am Nice Guy, gonna be sacrificing his life to keep the shutdown on Orianna.
And as always, the support dies for their laner sins, as indeed Rem does manage to get up. I'm a Nice Guy does die for that trade.
There. Oh, but the Ghost gonna come out from Hecarim. The devastating charge as well, landing onto Leona. Lil Top gonna try to chase this down, but the Scatter of the Week gonna almost one-shot Lil Top there. The Senna Heal's gonna come out. Shockwave again, it's up, and it hits 2. Graves and Ezreal gonna go down. The Sleep gonna land onto Volibear. What is 5 men to 2 horse-sized horses and a robot? It looks like PSU are gonna lose their bot turret.
Yeah, and you know, the Shockwave was just used on the Syndra here, so PSU definitely did not expect their cooldown to be 46 seconds, and with the Cloud Drake, of course, the cooldown reduction on Orianna hitting almost 40%, in fact, it's only at 30%, so that cooldown can just go only lower. And, you know, having that Shockwave turn the fight around, just basically taking out Mr. Lazy and Mooch at the same time, just completely turned the fight around. And wow, the flank on the Volibear, I mean, in almost every other case where a Volibear is anything more than a cannon minion, he will be able to find some kind of salvageable fight there, but him going in the backline just spelled his own death as he walks in. And Rem using the ultimate on the Scuttle. What disrespect.
He knows that he can just stomp on anyone in his way this game. He's just gonna use it. He knows it's gonna be up by the time they go for their next fight. And it looks like I Am Nice Guy just gonna clear out some Baron Vision. Gonna juke out with his Dead Man's Plate. Leona gonna land the Solar Flare, but Syndra's not close enough for the Scatter of the Week. Gonna pull it out. They don't know where anyone on the other team other than Lilia, who is pushing in mid.
I mean, PSU is just so desperate for some kind of play that, you know, they're just looking for anything they can, including on the set, but like the set just walking up with absolute impunity with a sneakily placed ward in the red side jungle there, in the top side jungle of PSU. And, you know, this game is just so difficult for any kind of comeback to happen from the PSU side. The Syndra has the voice staff completed, so there is some sort of potential for a huge scatter of the week.
Yeah, but however, while Syndra is most of their damage currently, she's also one of the only people that can clear out these supers. Ezreal has such a hard time doing it, even though he has the Iceborne. And Volibear has to clear out the Balu. So how are PSU supposed to approach this Baron?
Yeah, I mean, this has to be a given Baron here. I mean, with the Orion in the set, it's just so hard for PSU to find a way in. And Orion can
most they can look for Ezreal ult might, but Lilia ult gonna land on the Graves, gonna sleep him up. Ult gonna take him away. And it's gonna be a double face breaker, but the Zenith Blade gonna juke it out.
Yeah,
And Ezreal's gonna run, like, gonna flash the Senna ulti. Rem gonna stopwatch the Ezreal Q you saw coming in. And meanwhile, Lilia gonna just chase down Leona, but gonna get hit by the Solar Flare. Volibear a bit too deep, gonna get taken down as well. And it looks like Rem is just TPing top lane and gonna push it in. Decipher gonna stop their ports. Graves is the only one left to stop this Orianna, but he can't go near to her. He's half health, and this Orianna is 4 items and 14k gold. He's just gonna push it in for free. And meanwhile, Transect is on his way to a pentakill.
I mean, I really hope that Rem stops the clearing of the minion wave so that Transect can look for it, but fortunately the Syndra does get back to the base,
And
but
it's
to
gonna
no
be
avail.
a GG coming out from PSU and a 2-0 for Rutgers.
Wow, what a decisive game here. I mean, after such a close game one and several blunders from Rutgers, they really cemented their victory here with a 33-16 scoreline throughout the team and a massive gold lead on every single one of their carries. I really liked how Rutgers played towards their win con better this time and really stopped the early bleeding that happened, although there were still some sketchy plays that almost cost them their lives. So overall, really well played from Rutgers. And of course, Rem out here, he zoned both Ezreal and Syndra on that banner fight. And I think that's really something to write home about. Him as the Orianna with the face was just able to dodge every single skill shot that both of those champions can output. And him just being able to zone out 2 such key members of damage on the enemy team just allows them to get the free Baron and the free fight afterwards. And of course, the Transact healing on the Senate is just so difficult to mitigate. And I'm pretty sure that there was not a single grievous wounds on that team other than from Ezreal here. And with Ezreal zoned off, there's no grievous wounds on the enemy team.
Especially with the Ezreal's group being executioners, you would have to hit a Q or auto, or the Iceberg
Yeah,
Gauntlet
definitely.
to proc it, but it's just so hard to get near.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, Rutgers University varsity team takes a 2-0 win over Penn State Junior Varsity team week 3 of the C-Star League. And as we exit, do you have any closing thoughts, Keldrick, on how the series played out?
I'd say it was just a statement series coming out from Rem. He was just able to turn around game 1 on his own practically. In game 2, he was just running around with impunity, killing everyone.
Yeah,
So-
I really do have high hopes for this Rutgers team. I really think that they can push really far through the brackets, and Ram being at level 18 at 29 minutes is just so disgustingly strong. And I'm really excited to see how far this team will go in the future games. Oh yes, and at the end of the stream, we will be hosting CSU LOL here at the end of the stream. So be sure to stay tuned if you have nothing else to do on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. And we will see you on the next cast. Our next game will probably be sometime next week. The timing is unsure due to the current circumstances with coronavirus, as well as availabilities with other teams. So be sure to stay tuned. If you haven't joined our Discord yet, our Discord is on the stream scrolling by. So if you want to go check the VOD, please join our Discord and come get verified and come chat with our community. We do have I do believe that is it. We will see you next time on the stream.
Thank you for watching.
Nucleic signing off.
Keldrick, see ya.
I can hear you far away. I can see you in the distance. I am living for today. I am the path of no resistance. If we drift to